floor standing, bookshelf, satellite, in wall, on wall, ceiling, subwoofer, center speakers. Now, these are some of the types of speakers that when you go out there to buy, these options are presented to you. Now, what are they? What exactly you need to know? And how do you choose what you need? So let's get to it. Now, the first one is a floor standing speaker or a tower speaker. Now, these are complete speakers by themselves. They usually have multiple woofers of multiple sizes and also house the tweeters. Now, these tower speakers are meant to produce full range sound, meaning that you don't need a separate subwoofer generally with these. And since you don't need subwoofers with these, that means they go low. So you can expect a frequency response from a floor standing speaker to be somewhere around 30 or 40 hertz, which is pretty typical for a subwoofer as well. Now, since floor standing speakers do produce full range sound and they're quite big, that means they can be pricey as well. So good floor standing speakers will drive up your budget, but on the other hand, they would not require a subwoofer. So choose floor standing speakers if you have the budget and you have the space for it. If you put floor standing speakers in a small room, they are just going to look awkward. So the next, we have bookshelf speakers. Now, bookshelf speakers come in different sizes. They generally start from 3.5 to 4-inch woofers for the smaller size. The medium-sized bookshelf speakers are somewhere around 5 to 5.5-inch, and the large ones, they go upwards from 6.5-inch, and they go up to 8 inches woofers as well. Depending on the room and the requirements, you should be choosing which kind of bookshelf speaker should you go for. In case you have near field listening, you should probably go for a small bookshelf speaker. In case you have medium rooms and you have a subwoofer to add, then a medium sized speaker, that means around 5 inches or 5.5-inch of woofer, should be enough for you. But if you want to skip the subwoofer and you have a medium sized room, then you can go for a large bookshelf speaker. But on the other hand, you do have a large room, then you can go for either a medium sized or a large sized bookshelf speaker, but then you have to go with a subwoofer. Next up, we have satellite speakers. Now, these speakers are meant to be your surround sound speakers, nothing more than that. You cannot put them for your front channels because they have limited frequency response. And with satellite speakers, since they have limited frequency response, they should be only used for limited occasions and not for the full frontal audio fidelity. So satellite speakers, if you do go for them, only use them for surrounds. In-wall or on-wall speakers. Now, most of the brands that have a bookshelf speaker also have a variant that might be in-wall or on-wall speakers. Now, with on-wall speakers, they have a compact body, but with this comes limitations on the frequency range as well. So with in-wall, you can expect a similar tone that of a bookshelf speaker, but an on-wall will definitely be limited. Now, in-walls are obviously much harder to install and an entire wiring needs to be done for them. They need to be cut out. They need to be fitted properly. On-wall speaker, on the other hand, they are much easier to install. So yeah. Center channels. Now, center channels are a little different from all of these speakers. Now, they generally have multiple tweeters and they're kept in a horizontal position rather than a vertical. So they're meant to be directed at your ears directly. Since tweeters are highly directional, you should be directing center channel speakers only towards your ears or towards the listening position. Now, a center channel is generally recommended if you have a full-scale home theater. It's not meant for casual setups. Subwoofers are needed in case you have any speaker except floor standing or tower speakers. So you would find yourself needing for extra bass, and that bass, the low end, the subwoofer bass, which ranges from 20 hertz to 80 hertz, if you want that, especially in movies, then you do need to opt for a subwoofer. Now, a subwoofer can be tricky, especially to buy. There are two types of subwoofers predominantly. There's ported and there's sealed. So depending on your use case, you need to choose. And there are different price points as well. So depending on your space and how much power you need to pressurize the room, you should be choosing your subwoofer. If you put a powerful subwoofer in a small space, then the bass will get overpowering. And you don't want that. If you want audio fidelity, then you should be choosing your subwoofer according to what power is required in your room. And subwoofer also needs to be placed correctly. If you want to know more about placement, there is a video that I've done. You can look at it. All of the speakers that I mentioned, these are of component systems. Now, there are other types of speakers as well. Now, those are pre-built and it depends on your use case. So you can either have a soundbar, Bluetooth speaker, smart speaker, outdoor speaker, or studio monitors. It depends on your use case, and these speakers might also suffice your requirements. So which one should you go for? If you have a big room, go for floor standing speakers. If you have a smaller space, then you can go for a bookshelf speaker. Now, if you want a home theater, then you should be going with at least a 5.1, which includes a center and a subwoofer. Now, you can also tweak the 5.1 in case you have floor standing speakers. You can cut out the sub and go for a 5.0. If you're just listening to music, then you can either go for tower speakers or for bookshelf speakers. Now, with most music except electronic music, the frequency range is quite above 120 hertz. You don't need a subwoofer in that case, and a large bookshelf speaker will be able to produce all of the frequency range in case you're listening to natural instruments. And then finally, if you want speakers for casual purposes, then you can go for smart speakers or even a soundbar. So the main takeaway from this video is that you should know your space, your budget, and what is it that you're listening to. Let me know in the comment section below what your next speaker purchase might be.